Gisukyukit, Huga click, Leanna, Gravelle, Huga Higaki, Agin Kum class no clear, Lak Yakit ak no clear, Ktunaxa. Good day, my name is Leanna Gravelle. I come from Tobacco Plains and I use both of our traditional names for our place, and I am Ktunaxa. We are in the beautiful Ktunaxa Interpretive Center where we tell our Ktunaxa 12,000-year history as well as our residential school story. We always held the space and a place to be able to tell this story here to our visitors, to bring that education and awareness to the greater public around residential schools, the impact since colonization, the Indian Act and residential school, and what it means to us as Indigenous people and Ktunaxa moving forward here in this building. So as one of our elders said, it's within these walls. They took our language and our culture. It's within these walls we will get it back. When I sit there and I think of these words, it really resonates with me because here, since we opened as a hotel, we have held many language and culture workshops, conferences, reclaiming that our language here in this building where it was taken away. And it's here for our future generations to learn that true story of resiliency that our ancestors who went here, our parents or grandparents who went here, seeing that played out today, knowing those stories and what they went through, and still to be here today shows that true resiliency. Bringing them back and having space and place for them to tell their stories, to help with the healing. As individuals, not everybody got to tell their stories, or our stories weren't believed, and now more and more people are wanting these stories and wanting to know the truth, because for how many years we were Canada's dirty little secret. We're starting to see that true shift towards reconciliation, and the only way we're going to get towards reconciliation is listening to those truths, those stories from those survivors, those warriors who experienced it. For myself, both my parents I'm a daughter and a wife of residential school survivors. Both my parents went to school here. Both my parents had different experiences. My mom had a fairly decent experience. My dad, not so much. And we don't get many stories from our parents about their experience here. But as they're starting to age, they're starting to open up and tell those stories to myself as well as to their grandkids, so they understand their experiences in residential school. Because this is part of our history. This is part of who we are. It will benefit the youth knowing and understanding what their grandparents, great-grandparents, or parents went through while attending these schools and working with them to heal. We continue to bring in youth to mentor them so they can learn those stories of who they are, be proud of who they are, where they come from, and being able to educate the public about those stories. While we may not have went to residential school here, we have those stories of our ancestors that need to continue to be told. And since the apology in 2009, everything was really, our stories were starting to come out, and then all of a sudden we got forgotten, we got swept off to the side. And in a few years ago, when they discovered the 215 unmarked graves in Kamloops, then our stories started to come back, and they came back stronger. And people wanted to finally learn, because for many years this isn't taught in the schools. I'm glad that it's part of BC's curriculum, but it wasn't taught in the schools. We have many people today who are seeking out the information, educating themselves about the things that happen to Indigenous people in residential schools, wanting to know those stories, those true stories. And I think this is a great opportunity going forward, and for our youth as well. We have all of our local school districts who come through here for tours They learn about who we are as Ktunaxa, and they learn about residential school. We have 2 videos here that we show. One is the Gord Downey video, as well as our Survivors of the Red Brick School. This video was done by Virginia Baptiste, a former residential school survivor who went to school here, who brought her family back here to tell their stories, as well as interviewed many of our elders here to tell their stories of what happened to them when they went to school here. And at that time, a lot of people, they wanted this building torn down, they wanted it destroyed, because they blamed the building for what happened to them here, not the nuns and the priests. By us keeping this building here, it provided that opportunity for people to start to have closure. Many of the people who tore their buildings down, destroyed them, did get that same sense of closure, and then it comes full circle, and we've had that come full circle with many of our elders today.